Hello, angels. Welcome back to my channel. Also, I can now say this. Welcome to my channel. For all my new subscribers, welcome to the 18 babe. I actually was just thinking about this. Like, maybe that name is subject to change, but for right now, it's definitely gonna stay the same. Welcome to the 18 angel. My name is Aisha Christina Foster. If you are new here, hi, hello. Also, make sure that you are subscribed if this is the first video that you happen to be seeing of mine. I make videos about personal development stuff and dating and just trying to create content that uplifts you guys and makes you smile and makes you feel good, and also, you know, coupled in with a little tough love, right? Because we all need it. Make sure you're following me on Instagram. That'll be over here at Aisha Christina Foster. That is my new and only Instagram handle. And also, thumbs up this video. Yes, 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 because we want to get this video into the algorithm. And thank you for being here today. Today, we are going to be talking about how to move on from a situationship/relationship. We've been talking a lot about situationships, okay? And I think it's because, sadly, a lot of us are in one and we have all experienced or dealing with the pain and heartache of the ambiguity of situationships. So, if you want to learn about how to move on from a situationship, please keep watching. Firstly, you need to only watch this video if you are ready, okay? Don't, you know, be all sensitive if you're not ready for this information. It's very easy to loop over your pain and your sadness and your resentment. And then the next thing you know, you have spent 6 months, a year, cycling over the same thoughts over and over again about some guy or maybe some girl. And sometimes we also think to ourselves, oh my God, like, why did I waste my time? Why do this? And when you get stuck in those thoughts, you're wasting your time and you're wasting your energy. And personally, in my opinion, you have a very small window, right? It's a very delicate process. You have a small window of, you know, grieving a little bit, crying, and then really starting to put the action and put that, light that fire up underneath that, you know, that booty, and shift it into gear and get into the driver's seat. Okay. There's a very small window because it's such a delicate process that right when something happens, it's so easy to just keep on looping in the same thoughts and fueled by resentment and trying to be vindictive and all of those things. You have a very small window to channel that anger, that frustration, that resentment, that sadness into fuel for the momentum that you need to get over that relationship. So firstly, let's have a reality check. Here's the first thing that you have to do. One, you have to face reality. And this is the thing, and I've realized this myself. When you are with someone that is toxic, you become toxic too. And why is that? It's because, well, surprise, surprise, when toxic people do what they do by being toxic, you have to engage in toxic behaviors in order to warrant some sort of reaction from them. And also, I think another thing that we need to realize as it pertains to facing reality is we start to rewire our brains into thinking of coming up with a million different ways of how we can get that person back, how we can finally lock him down, get him to commit. Oh, okay, once he does this, then I'll just like peace out, because it's all ego. It is, and it feels good just for that moment, but you still are in a losing game. If you tell yourself, oh my God, you know, like if I could just get her out the picture, I know that she's just a distraction and he really no. Ask yourself this. Why do you deserve someone that's always going to make you feel like you have to compete for their time? Like if you just do this one thing, then you'll get them. That if you just behaved like this, then you'll get them. That if you looked like that, then you'll get them. That if you were more No. There's nothing more that you could have done, because how many times have we been in situations where you just can't chase away the guy that actually likes you? And, you know, maybe you might not even feel the same. A lot of the times you don't feel the same in those types of scenarios. And it's like nothing you say, even saying, hey, like, I don't see this going anywhere. And to them, it's like, all right, she said that, but like, did she really mean it? You know what I mean? Like, you just can't push away people that genuinely want to be with you. So if someone makes you feel like you have to compete for their attention, and what do I mean by that, right? Because again, this is a part of the reality check. A lot of the times there are other people that are in the picture. It's not usually just you. And they make you feel like, you know, the way that dynamic is set up is like, you want to be better than that girl, that guy, right? That's in the picture. So it automatically puts you in a very competitive standpoint. And hello, comparison is the thief of joy. So you're trying to do all these ego fueling things like, oh, I can look better than her or him by doing this and that. And the next thing you know, I mean, he's not choosing either of you guys, but okay. You ever been with someone that like always makes you feel like you're too much, or like the energy is very resistant. It's almost like you just can't seem to like be the full version of yourself. And I read something today that said that, especially as it pertains to women, we can't tap into our authentic power until the entirety of ourselves are expressed. And it's very possible for all of us to feel, very expressed, I don't know, for lack of a better term, in all of our dynamics. For instance, in your friendships, do you feel like, I can't say this, I can't do this, No, genuinely in all of my friendships, I feel like I could say what I want. I feel like I could do what I want. I don't have to worry about, oh my God, did she take it that way? Oh my God. I don't have to worry about that because I am all of myself and they can be all of themselves to me as well. Or maybe you even feel like your energy is too grounding for someone, meaning like you just can't seem to like tie them down. It's like as soon as you kind of want to, have a nice moment, you just can't even like settle in that moment because that individual, it's just like they're always just like out of your grasp. They're just out of reach for you. What do I mean by that? Specifically, if you're spending time with someone, let's say you guys are laying down, you guys are cuddling, and you're kind of just like, I really have been enjoying my time with you. And then here this clown goes cracking a joke. You know what's crazy? That tiramisu that we had earlier was like so good. And you're just like, okay. It was good. But, so I just feel it's like every time you try to have like a sober moment, as I call it, it's like cut by something that is so just ambiguous or off topic, or you can't have a settling moment with that individual. That's another thing that you have to pay attention to. Why would people that are in, situationships or even relationships that they want to get out of, a lot of the times you're dealing with these issues because they don't want to face the reality and they cannot verbalize and communicate with what is actually going on in their head. If you're in a situationship, it's going to be someone that doesn't want to get anything laid out. They don't want to be serious. They want to be as ambiguous as possible. If you were in a relationship, we're speaking of toxic relationships, and you want to get out of that type of dynamic, then you're just going to circle around the same behaviors over and over again, right? And that varies through an array of different types of situations. There are situations, toxic situations. We can go on and on and on. Do you have all day? Maybe you do, but not today, okay? There could be certain situations that are toxic, right? Relationships I'm talking about right now, where it's like you guys are constantly breaking up, and you guys break up so much that it's like you can't even tell what's cheating anymore because you're breaking up every other, and then you're unfollowing each other and you're blocking each other. And then you can have a situationship, which is toxic in its nature within itself. Right? And in a situationship, well, they're just going to not have any real type of conversation with you, usually, because why define anything when they can just get whatever they want and not have to really, have that commitment? Or sometimes they can kind of make you feel this like fear of bringing anything up because you like them so much that you just don't want to say anything that's going to make them want to go the other way. The reality is that, like I was saying before, the more you fight against that and the more that you go against the grain and you're met with that resistance, the more that you're fighting a losing game. And when I say losing, I mean losing more of yourself. And that's why when some of us are done and we're forced to face the music, we feel empty, embarrassed, silly, disappointed within ourselves. And this is why toxicity will bring out the ugly, the pathetic, the desperate, the demon out of anyone, because that's exactly what toxicity breeds. It breeds all negative things. And that's why you find yourself doing crazy amount of things. You ever been with someone and they just they literally turned you into someone that you don't even recognize. You don't even recognize yourself. Like you have crazy stories. Like maybe you were driving and you just like hopped out of the car to like prove a point. Like That's the level that some of these toxic relationships get to. So I say all that to say this. Before we move any forward, I need you right here, right now. Look at me. Hi, beautiful. I want you to make a choice, okay? You're going to choose the pain of staying and circling the drain, or the pain of setting yourself free in service of yourself. And the thing is, you do have the choice. I think it's such an easy thing to say, like, it's your choice, but it really is. We have the choice to stop dealing with something. However, it's okay to admit that you're just really not done yet. But I think that's the biggest thing. Realizing, okay, what am I actively, because this is going to put you in the driver's seat. What am I actively choosing to do right now? Am I choosing to stay and tolerate this person? Because then naturally you start to consider what it is that you're accepting. And you have to choose yourself in this situation, because staying and circling the drain, now what is there left to complain about? You're choosing a lifetime of complaints or, settling for that situation. But if you choose to set yourself free, well, hello, hi. Welcome. Now we can begin the process of healing. And I think a lot of the times the reason why some of us stay longer and it takes us like forever to finally be done is because we are curating a million different ways to have a happy ending. And we don't know if that's ever going to come. And it sometimes rarely does, especially within the time frame that we want it to. So we're sitting here like, okay, I'm going to leave if I could just get this one more thing. If I could just finally get him to understand how I feel. If I could just get her to, finally understand what she did to me, and then you'll feel vindicated. But my question to you is, what if that never happens? And what are you going to do? Spend a lifetime dedicating your life to coming up with a million different scenarios of what coulda, shoulda, woulda worked? So now, how do you get out of these situations? One, I want you guys to do this. I want you to identify what that individual represents to you. Is it safety? Is it security? Do they make you feel like you can be all of yourself? And when I say that, I mean this. A lot of the times, the things that we are most attracted to in other people are actually qualities that are within ourselves. So they're actually qualities that we admire in someone else. I've dated a guy before, and probably one of the most significant relationships that I can think of. And it was so significant to me, and I could not figure out why for the life of me. And it was simply because I admired him. That was all that it was. Was he the best person to me while we were together? Absolutely not. Were there good moments? Yes, as there are in every situation. I'm not going to demonize anybody's character. But at the end of the day, principally, I want you guys to pay attention to that. What does this person represent to me? Why I simply just feel like I'm stuck and like I can't move on. Next, I want you to think about, where's your mind at when you're susceptible or vulnerable to engaging with that person? More than likely, if you're in a toxic relationship / toxic dynamic, okay, there are times where there's the back and forth of the silent treatment, talking, not talking, all that up and down on both ends of the spectrum. When are you most vulnerable to communicating and engaging with that person? Is it being bored? Is it nostalgia? Is it sadness that you think that you miss that individual? What is it? So here is where the work begins. I need you to stop and reflect on how that person makes you feel, like actually makes you feel. And here's an example. The guy that I thought that I liked so much and like that meant, a lot to me. I was thinking about how he makes me actually feel. And not to highlight the bad parts, but for the most part, the sole reason of, everything I feel like kind of always feeling misaligned is the fact that I felt like I couldn't be all of myself. I felt this like odd resistant energy, as if I were to express myself, it would be minimized, or it would be like, just very downplayed, or it would be ignored almost. So when you think about how that individual makes you feel, okay, actually remember those times, remember those feelings, because this is going to add as fuel to remind yourself of why you need to move on. So if someone makes you feel so excited, and that's how it always starts, and then excitement followed by disappointment, extreme elation followed by sadness. You cannot live your life like that. You cannot live your life in constant ambiguity, walking on eggshells, and it's like every time you try and get back with that individual, thinking that something's going to change, something's going to be different, you're just logging in the back of your head. Like, all these things you're putting on the back burner, but they're both triggers for the both of you. They really are. Because the second something goes awry, all those things just start flowing right back out, you know? And I want you guys to keep this in mind. History does not mean that it's meant to be, especially for my younger angels. Don't fall for that. You know, we've been together for so long. You know, you mean everything to me. We might as well make it work. No, history does not. It's literally just you choosing to make this person a part of your life for an extended period of time. That's all that really means. That does not mean that you're meant to be with someone because you've been with them for X amount of years. And I think it's important to never equate time with significance, because then no one will ever leave anybody in life. And I want you guys to understand this as well. No matter how many times you try to alter the outcome, the results will remain the same. And history, in this case, has shown you that. And I want you guys to know this, like Dua Lipa said in her song, and if you're under him, you ain't getting over him. Okay, remember that. If you are under him, you are not getting over him. Here's what I need you guys to recognize. He or she is simply not the one for you. Really understand that. And this does not mean you're unworthy. No one's going to see your value. No one's ever going to love you again. That is not true. How can one person in this universe, on this planet, that gives you hell be the person that's for you? I mean, this sounds to me like punishment. That's what that sounds like to me. It doesn't. No, the lifestyle that I know that I have curated for myself does not require or incorporate me constantly being given hell from an individual and me thinking, yeah, that's it. It's him. He's the one that I'm meant to be with. Absolutely not. And that's not to say that, you know, trials and tribulations, things like that don't happen, but we're not talking about that in a healthy dynamic. We're here talking about toxic situationships and toxic relationships. Like I said, you have to accept the reality that that individual is not the person for you. And here's what I need you to do. I need you to set yourself free, right? Forgive yourself and forgive that individual. Otherwise, you're going to carry this pain and you're only punishing yourself. You have to let that weight go and just drop it. And this is what I actually truly believe. The hate and the resentment, the hatred and the resentment that we carry occupies so much space in our life that it's the only thing we have to give. So how can you ever be open to being with someone else and welcoming in something healthy when you're holding on to all that stuff? It's consuming all of you. What do you have to give? What do you have to give if that's occupying all the space inside of you? Yeah. And another thing, I know that there may be resistance as it pertains to forgiving someone because it's like, why am I forgiving them? This is unfair. I didn't do it. And it's because when you forgive yourself and you forgive that other person, you're not carrying that weight anymore. Because when you actually sit back and think about unforgiveness, who are you genuinely hurting? Walking in bitterness, resentment, hatred, trying to be vindictive. Who are you hurting? Like genuinely, because it's not them, I can assure you. So who are you hurting? Only yourself. And if you never let things go and you're constantly living in a state of offense and a victim mentality, because that's literally what is going to happen. And that is symptomatic of someone that never lets things go, right? You're never going to attract what it is that you want. You're going to attract people that meet you right where you are. So you're going to constantly cycle around the same situations with just different faces, right? And then you're going to fall deeper into that victim mentality. See, I knew everybody was the same. I knew I couldn't trust people. Oh my gosh, this person ruined my life. You're giving them too much power. And you are responsible for that. You are. And understanding this is actually a freeing thing. It's like, whoa, you mean I could just shift my perspective and forgive someone and then I have a new outlook on life? Yes, absolutely. That is exactly precisely what it is that I'm saying. Because you're giving that person too much power when you're constantly living in this resentment and this bitterness. Let it go. And also for those of you that feel like, oh, I just want to lash out and I have to let this person know how I feel, be prepared to understand that sometimes people that hurt you, they're going through their own stuff too. They're not going to be able to sometimes turn around and be like, I hurt you? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. You send them a long text, they're probably not going to read it, or, you know, depending on where they are at in their life. And if they do read it, you might not even get a response. Like, who knows? You can simply write a letter if that's cathartic for you, burn it, rip it up, release it, and let it go. Okay. Now here's what I need you to understand. If your relationship is contingent on you being someone else, dressing like someone else, acting like someone else, that is not the situation for you. That is not the person for you. And why? Because it's not sustainable. Who you are not will never be sustainable for you, for anybody. You know, I met this guy once and he said to me, you know what your problem is? You just need to be more tolerable. Tolerable. That was his requirement in order to be with him. I knew that that just simply didn't work for me. And I've also learned as I have evolved and matured that I'm actually not offended by that. Why? Because everyone is doing what they need to do for their own lives. For his life, that works for him. There is someone that works for. There is a clown that works for. I mean, I don't know who would want to do that, but different strokes for different folks. So if you shift your perspective, you can think about it like this. Thank the universe. Be grateful, actually. And I know this sounds crazy, but be grateful that this situation didn't work out. Why? Because that decision was made for you. That's how you have to look at it. You know what? This sucks right now, but I'm glad that this situation happened the way that it did. Why? Because I now know one thing. You're not for me. This back and forth constantly, me feeling worse than I did every time I come back is not worth my energy anymore. So this is why I want you guys to be very careful of your self-talk and your thoughts when you are in a vulnerable place and when you are alone, meaning on your healing journey from moving on from toxic dynamics. Because a lot of the times people are constantly projecting things onto us and those become our thoughts in our most vulnerable moments. And usually when we break up with someone, we are like fueled by that, like, you know, ego and showing off and like, oh, I'm going to show him what he missed, all these different things. And then we start to become everything that we think that they want, or we become everything that they thought we couldn't. And it's a very tricky space. It's a very thin line to walk on because regardless of the matter, right? Being someone else is not sustainable. And also technically letting that fuel you is technically kind of focusing a lot on that situation still and trying to prove to someone who probably is not really paying much attention to you or already is treating you like garbage, you know, and trying to convince them to change their minds. And what is the likelihood of that? In conclusion, angels, it is very easy to choose what is familiar versus what makes us actually happy. Like starting over with someone else is so scary, but we would rather go back to the same old person that is not good for us, that treats us like garbage, makes us feel like garbage, makes us question our value, makes us question our self-worth. And the longer you guys stay in these types of dynamics, the collateral damage is it's just as bad, if not, it feels worse because you are now alone in your thoughts. And in recognizing that that individual is not for you, it doesn't mean you're not worthy of love, because you have to stop thinking about it like this. Because they didn't want you means that like, oh, what is it about me that they just didn't want? You're just focusing so much on what that person is, as opposed to just understanding that what if you're just not compatible? And that's essentially what that person is saying. That person not recognizing your value, that person being the way that they were, it's for a reason. You're not compatible with them. That's all that it really is. And I think it's important that we recognize these things and we act on them and have the action behind, to fuel ourselves to move on by thinking about all these things that are very thought-provoking, because otherwise we literally continue to circle the drain and we get used to these patterns and we get used to feeling so low all the time that we don't know what feeling good actually is. So we're going to stay in the same old, same old. So surround yourself around people that genuinely bring you joy and make you feel happy. Learn what it is to actually feel happy. And lastly, I want you guys to believe without a shadow of a doubt that there is someone that is out there that is actually for you. Okay? A lot of these tips, all of these tips that I actually gave are all meant to be thought-provoking. Why? Because it starts here. It starts with the decision. It starts in your head. Because the way your heart may feel right now is that your heart feels so connected to that individual. But it starts with making the decision in your mind that this is what you're going to do. I'm going to think about how this person makes me feel. I'm going to actually take notes about this. I'm going to search for that happiness, figure myself out. I'm going to figure out what does this person represent in my life that makes me want to stay with them and makes me think that I can't find anyone else on this earth that's going to be a better person to me. Okay? These are all things that I want you angels to think about. So that is the end of this video, angels. I want you guys to give this video a thumbs up. And if you watch this video all the way to the end, I'm gonna know. So I want you to comment lemon. No, comment watermelon or with a watermelon emoji. Yeah, I want you to comment that. Everyone that didn't watch the whole video, they're gonna be confused, okay, in the comment section. They're gonna be like, oh my God, whatever. Don't say anything, okay? Just keep it a secret between us and just comment down watermelon so I know that you watched it. And also, I will know that you watched it, depending on what your feedback is. Let me know what your thoughts are. Share your story about how you got out of a toxic dynamic or a toxic relationship. And do not forget that I love you and God loves you. And I'll see you beautiful angels in my next video.